vessel that was involved in oil exploration efforts off the North Slope was departing Dutch Harbor, proceeded in the area that had been charted since the 1800s. And in doing so, it actually found a rock and ran aground and caused significant damage to the vessel. It incurred millions of dollars of damage and required the vessel to go back down to sail and stopped operations. So it was a very costly impact by just having waters that weren't well charted. I think what people don't understand that the charts that mariners are relying on right now in Alaska, in some cases, were made over 100 years ago when the technology was much different than we have today. I think the critical part of this project is that there's a lot of concern and angst by the local communities in the Arctic, as well as the nation as a whole. There's some apprehension about vessels going to this new maritime frontier that hasn't been charted beforehand. There aren't the same tools and safety net that's available everywhere else in the United States and most parts of the world because it was covered with ice beforehand. Now we have a first opportunity to operate vessels up there, and can we do so safely?
Our project involves collecting historical AIS vessel tracking information, AIS standing for Automated Information System, and taking that information and converting it into useful formats and patterns that can be used to help prioritize where modern hydrographic or bathymetric charting should take place in the Arctic region. There's been increasing ship traffic making its way through the Arctic. And even in the part of the Arctic which we call the Bering Sea region, ship traffic has been increasing there as well because the period of time that ice is in that region has been reduced significantly. And so that's opening opportunities for commercial shipping to occur over longer periods of time.
What we're really trying to figure out about vessel traffic is how is it changing? The Arctic itself is one of the most dynamic physical environments on the planet, and it's experiencing the most change. Every year, there's more and more of the Arctic being exposed to be traversed by ships and boats. And so the patterns of these ships are changing, but the data is so large that it's very difficult to get a handle on how these patterns are changing. And if we don't know how these patterns are changing, we don't know how they're impacting subsistence resources. We don't know if they're going into areas of the ocean that have never been charted before because they've always been covered with ice. So there's huge risks here, just a lack of knowledge.
The AIS data comes in, there's billions and billions of lines of AIS data every day coming in all around the world. And these are very large data sets. So part of our project was to develop a processing capability that would take big data using a high performance compute cluster and get it into a format that can be easily ingested by NOAA's models that they use to help prioritize where they need to do hydrographic charting.
By bringing in some high performance computing techniques, cluster computing, which is really a modern form of a supercomputer, we can bring the time to process this data down from months to years down to hours to days. And so using more modern big data techniques, we can produce actionable information so that to understand the seafloor better, we can provide them with information that tells them in a very, very surgical way exactly where to go sample information to have the biggest impact to reduce loss of life, oil spill catastrophes, and vessel groundings.
Other outcomes from this project is the improved efficiency at processing big data sets like this. That will benefit other similar projects going on around the country and will benefit new research in providing access to AIS data in a public forum, such as the Alaska Ocean Observing System. This will help push that forward and make the data available for new research by other people.